Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the AFI project. Today we are going to be taking a look at Forrest Gump. No, this is not my VHS. I picked this up at a garage sale for 25 cents. Look at that back cover there. Just kind of miss VHSs. But that's just an aside. This movie was directed by Robert Zemeckis. We all know who he is. And it starred Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, Gary Sinise, and others. And I think it's pretty safe to say that everybody knows what this movie is. Even if they've never seen it, they can quote it off the top of their head. Life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get. Are you stupid or something? Stupid is as stupid does. I could go on. My point is that everyone knows about Forrest Gump. And for that reason, it seems rather superfluous for me to explain the plot of this movie. But, well, if for some reason you haven't seen it, the basic plot of Forrest Gump is that it follows a man named, Forrest Gump. He has lived a very fascinating life. He has met Elvis, he has gone to Vietnam, he went to the March on Washington, he's met famous people, and all with an IQ of 75. Despite his mental limitations, Forrest Gump is either by accident or on purpose able to carve out just an incredible life for himself, all while he continues to pine for the affections of his longtime want-to-be girlfriend named Jenny, played by Robin Wright. I saw this movie at a very early age, and yeah, of course I loved it. But somewhere around my teenage years, I slowly started to get the feeling that maybe the movie was not as good as I remembered it being, to the point of it being, overrated. But I did rewatch this for this very video, and I have to say, I gained a new appreciation for Forrest Gump. I think this movie is still just really good to this day. And I think my feelings on this movie could be described in a quote from the Big Roger Ebert himself. In his 4-star review for this movie, he ended up saying, quote, "The movie is more of a meditation on our times as seen through the eyes of a man who lacks cynicism and takes things for exactly what they are." Looking at that quote and then watching this movie for the first time in a very long time, I completely understood the appeal of this movie and just the general temperament of Forrest Gump himself. Gump is, of course, played by Tom Hanks, and like I said, we all know who this character is and who Tom Hanks is. He is one of the all-time greats. But it was in this subsequent rewatch that I noticed something that I never noticed in other rewatches, in that Forrest Gump is not just some dunce who is like, oh, what's going on around me? And he's not that stupid. Is he the sharpest knife in the drawer? No, he is not. He does have an IQ of 75. He is and forever will be perpetually behind the curve. But what makes him such an endearing person is that he just treats everyone with the respect that he feels they deserve. He follows the golden rule to the hilt. Treat others how you would like to be treated. Even when people say to him, hey, you stupid or something, Gump's go-to response is, stupid is as stupid does. There are several scenes where Forrest Gump notices much more than he lets on. One of the earlier scenes, and spoiler warning, but one of the earlier scenes is where Forrest's mom, played by Sally Field, brilliant performance by the way, learns that her son has an IQ of 75 and won't be let into this one school. However, she basically sleeps with the principal in order to get him in. And despite having an IQ of 75, he knows exactly what's happening, and when the principal walks out, he's like, "Oh boy, your mama's really something." He goes, which was the noise that they were making when they were doing the thing. Cut to another scene where Forrest is with Lieutenant Dan, and, they take home some ladies of the night to do the thing with. Forrest starts to do it, but then for a variety of reasons, he's just like, no thanks, not for me. And the lady's like, what are you, stupid or something? I'm sure he's used to that by that point. But then Lieutenant Dan, who by that point has had his legs chopped off and has had just no time for anything, is like, what did you just say? He kicks the ladies out, all while she calls them freaks and no legs and just all sorts of creative adjectives. And as Sinise is getting back into his chair, Forrest just straight up tells him, sorry for ruining your New Year's Eve party, Lieutenant Dan. She tasted like cigarettes. And Lieutenant Dan kind of picks up that Forrest just felt like it was wrong and did the right thing. And so he just begrudgingly is like, Happy New Year, Gump. I'll talk more about Lieutenant Dan in a second, but next I want to talk about Jenny, played by Robin Wright. Because if we're talking about the ultimate sympathetic characters in movie history, she's got to be near or at the top of everyone's list. Because while Forrest Gump is doing all these amazing things, well, basically, while Forrest is getting the gold mine, Jenny is getting the shaft. After leaving her abusive father, she becomes a hippie, she goes to Woodstock, she gets addicted to drugs, she gets into more bad relationships, is a satellite member of the Black Panthers, gets into even more abusive relationship, and ultimately thinks about committing suicide. It was upon this rewatch that, well, to give greater context, Forrest tries continually to try and confess his love for Jenny, and Jenny is like, you don't want me, ever. Jenny knows that Forrest loves him, and she also loves him back. But she also knows that she has a lot of baggage, and out of a love for Forrest, tries to stay as far away as possible. I'm not a film theorist, I'm not even close, but upon my rewatch, it just hit me like a bolt of lightning that I think that was the purpose of that love story. And even when they finally get to where they're married and they have little Forrest Gump Jr., played by Haley Joel Osment, by the way, she gets diagnosed supposedly with AIDS and dies. By the way, the scene where Forrest just breaks down and cries at Jenny's grave never ceases to make me cry. And then, let's talk about my favorite character in this entire movie, Lieutenant Dan, played by the incomparable Gary Sinise. Out of most, if not all, of the people in Hollywood that I would love to meet, that's a very small list, Gary Sinise is near or at the top. Because from every account I've seen of him, he is just one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet. He does a lot of good in this world, and is just one of the finest supporting actors that you could ever ask for. And that goes double for Forrest Gump. His whole story arc is just fantastic. He starts out as, like, basically Major Kilgore from Apocalypse Now. Like, he was born and bred to do one thing, and that's serve in the military. But then when he survives the war, but loses his legs, he basically bottoms out mentally. He becomes an alcoholic, and he just becomes supremely bitter at the world. And most importantly, he becomes bitter at Forrest. After appearing on this show with John Lennon, Lieutenant Dan is like, they gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor. And Forrest is like, Lieutenant Dan, it's nice to see you. And Lieutenant Dan has no time for it. He's like, they gave you, this idiot, the Congressional Medal of Honor. And he's just so mad at the prospect of him, whose destiny was always to be in battle, and then just to have that literally cut off at the knees. Literally. It's just the worst thing that you could ever ask for him. Like, he is in hell, basically. He is in hell. And he basically realizes this when after he and Forrest, pronouns, are sent to the hospital. Basically, there's this one night where Lieutenant Dan pulls Forrest to the ground, and he is like, do you have any idea what it is like to have no legs at all? When Forrest, for the majority of his childhood, had braces on his legs. So he just tells Lieutenant Dan, yes, I know. And Lieutenant is like, you have no idea what you're even talking about. And then Forrest is like, I know too well. This movie's brilliant. And after bottoming out, Lieutenant Dan goes back to Forrest to become a part of his shrimp boat empire. And they make a lot of money doing it. And then at the end of the movie, we see that 2 things happen. Or 3 things. Number 1, he basically forgives himself, God, and Forrest for everything that happened. In one of the most beautiful scenes in the movie, where after they found success in shrimping and everything, he just straight up looks at Forrest and he says, "Forrest, I never got a chance to say thank you for saving my life." And then he goes off the boat, jumps in the water, and backstrokes his way into his new life. The next time we see him with new legs, titanium alloy. It's the stuff they used on the space shuttle. And with a woman that he loves and is going to marry. It's one of the most beautiful story arcs in movie history. You cannot change my mind on that. And it was pulled off just spectacularly by the brilliance of Gary Sinise. And at the end of the day, Forrest Gump is just a movie that is just stellar across the board. The acting is great. The cinematography is awesome. The soundtrack is awesome as well. The effects largely hold up to this very day. And on the whole, this is just a movie that is not just about a stupid guy who lucks into everything. There's a beating heart to this movie, and I think that if you were to take a closer look, you would be able to find that. But that is all for me, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Next time on the AFI Project, we're going to be taking yet another hard left back to the mid-1970s and talking about a movie all about journalism and taking down the Nixon administration. It's All the President's Men. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way, when a new video drops, you will be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.